Then
Yeah.
looks like the meeting's being recorded. So we will call this meeting to order of the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization today, Wednesday, February 18th. Brian, please call the roll.
Okay, we have from Mass DOT representing Secretary and CEO Phil Ing, Derek Schuster.
Derek Schuster here.
Also from Mass DOT representing Highway Division Chief Jonathan Gulliver, Ann Sullivan.
Ann Sullivan here.
From Leominster, Mark Permarini.
Here.
From MRPC, Glenn Eaton.
Here.
From Mart, Stephen Oldfield.
Here.
From Subregion 2, Abby Arpano.
Here.
And from Subregion 3, I have Glenn McLeod.
Here.
Okay, I believe that's it. Well, I see now from Fitchburg, Liz Murphy.
Here.
Okay, great. We have a quorum, and I'll just quickly mention Glenn Eaton may need to leave. We still have a quorum if he does leave. So I'll just mention that.
All
Brian,
right.
thank you for that. And if you have a quorum, Mr. Chairman, I will leave. I have some interviews.
We
So,
do.
thank you for
Okay.
your time,
Yeah,
folks. Have a
thanks,
pleasant
Glenn.
meeting.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next agenda item, public comments. Do we have any members from the public wishing to make comment at this time? If so, please use the raise hand feature. I am not seeing any, so we will continue on. But if during today's meeting anyone from the public would like to make a comment, this goes for the board as well. Just please use the raise hand feature and wait to be called on by the chair. Next, we are moving on to item 3, approval of the January 21st, 2026 minutes. Could I please get a motion and second to approve the minutes? They should have been sent to everyone among the handout list.
So moved, Ann Sullivan.
Do we have a second?
Second, Mark Permarini.
Thank you. Are there any revisions, comments, or changes or questions on the minutes? Seeing and hearing none. Brian, please call the roll.
Derek Schuster, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ann Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Liz Murphy, Fitchburg. Liz Murphy, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Mark Permarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Stephen Oldfield, Mart.
Yes.
Abby Arpano, Subregion 2.
Yes.
And Glenn McLeod, Subregion 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next item is MPO signatories.
Okay, and I thought I'd just quickly add this, just informational purposes. We've had some new members come on. I mentioned last month that Bruno Fisher, the administrator at Mart, was retiring. The new administrator is Stephen Oldfield, who's here today. So welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
Also, he's designated Michael Yaboa from Mart as his designee to vote if he cannot make MPO meeting. So this whole list is updated. Basically, we have 11 voting members. We have Secretary and CEO of Mass DOT. Typically, a designee shows up from Office of Transportation Planning of DOT. Same thing with the Highway Division. The Chief, Jonathan Gulliver, has a vote. Typically, a designee would be from the Highway Division. One vote from each of the 3 mayors of the cities, Fitchburg, Gardner, Leominster, or their designee. The MRPC chair has a vote. The designee typically is Glenn, our executive director. The Mart chairman or their designee, as I mentioned, Stephen or Michael. And then one vote from each of the 4 subregions. So we determined these subregion representatives last year at our subregional caucus. We'll do that every 3 years. to ensure that every community has a chance to represent their subregion. And the chain of order for these representatives is I'll first call on the representative if I see them present. If they are not, I'll look for their designee. If the representative or their designee is not present, then I'll look for the alternate or their designee. So if you're wondering why I didn't call your name for a vote where I have previously, it's likely because the actual representative is present at the meeting. So again, this is an updated list. We also have non-voting ex officio members from the Joint Transportation Committee, Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Committee, and Devon's Enterprise Commission. So again, this is an updated voting list. 11 signatories. We always need 6 for a quorum. And really thank you all for participating in these meetings. They're essential in keeping the federal transportation dollars flowing into the region and operating the MPO. So that's just for your information.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Brian on the MPO signatories as presented? I just had a quick correction. Steve Wolfel, there's no N. It's Steve, not Steven.
Oh,
And I'm
sorry about that.
Schuster. I know Derek Raval was previously the MPO activities manager, but um that was it.
Sure.
Thanks, Brian.
I'll make those changes. Thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Just let me pull that back up. Next is performance measures 1, PM1 targets. This is an action item. I think we're going to get an introduction from Brian for Sam Taylor.
Yep. So under Federal Highway Administration's Transportation Performance Management Program, we have over the last several years adopted safety targets for the region. So today we'll have Sam Taylor from Mass DOT go over some of the state numbers in their suggested targets. Also, we have some Montachusett region numbers to review. Um, so the process for this is every year the MPO reviews this information and either develops their own safety targets for the region or adopts the state's safety targets. So MPO staff's recommendation will be to adopt the state's safety targets. So ultimately, that's what we're looking for a motion to do is to adopt the state safety targets. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Sam Taylor from Mass DOT to go over some of the state numbers.
Thank you, Brian. And you have the slides, right?
I do. Yep.
Awesome. So while we get that up, I'll introduce myself. My name is Sam Taylor. I am here from MassDOT, and I am one of the MPO liaisons for a few other regions.
Just interjecting for a moment. Brian, did you have a slide deck or just the performance measures packet?
This is what I have.
Okay.
Got it.
Sam, is Sam able to share his screen? I think he has the slideshow prepared.
If you'd like to share your screen, I can give you permission as well.
Yeah, let's uh, alternatively, I could just have you scroll through the document since the charts. I have 7 slides here, and 3 of them are the charts that you have here in this document. So however you want to do this.
Okay. If you could tell me where the document is, I could do that, or you,
No,
you
no,
do
no.
have permission to share your screen.
Got it. I mean the document you have open right now.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, we could do that. Let me just reshare.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So I'll try to keep this brief and concise. This is a presentation of PM1 safety performance measures. Since MassDOT has presented on federal performance measures over the past few years, many of you are probably familiar with this process. But as a refresher, the federal performance regulations that were passed in 2016 include three overarching categories. PM1, which is safety, which this presentation focuses on. PM2, which covers bridge and pavement condition. PM3, which is called system performance measures, and that includes that is on improving the transportation system's efficiency and congestion reduction. So PM1 targets are to be adopted by MPOs every year by the end of February. And as always, although numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, MassDOT's overarching goal is always 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries. So there are 5 required performance measures under federal PM1 safety target regulations, and those are the number of roadway fatalities, the number of serious injuries, the rate of roadway fatalities per 100 million VMT or vehicle miles traveled, the rate of serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and then the total combined number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So these in the charts following, these are expressed not as 1-year targets, but as 5-year rolling average targets. So the statewide targets put forward for 2026 are actually 2022 through 2026 rolling average targets for each of the 5 measures. So if we go to, there we go. Yeah, if we keep it on the fatalities page for a few minutes here. So this target setting process began in July with a trend line projection of the latest available data at that time, as that's when states are required to establish annual targets. So as noted in years past, higher rates of speeding and decreased vehicle miles traveled in 2020, 21, and 22 meant that the state safety numbers were moving in the wrong direction. But in 2023, that trend reversed, and there were significant decreases in fatalities and serious injuries, though fatalities increased again in 2024. So the early data when these were set from 2025 shows improvement over 2024. So taking these trends into account, MassDOT adopted a target for 22 through 26. And in addition to target setting, MassDOT also developed a 24 through 28 projection to see what the future might look like if these trends were to continue. And that is that second blue bar there. So you may recall we did this last year as well when setting the 2025 target. We also provided a 2027 projection. So here we are with the 2028 projection alongside the 2026 target. So as noted, these targets were developed in the middle of 2025. So MassDOT had to estimate what a full year of 2025 data might look like. So to do that, MassDOT compared data from the past 10 years for year-to-date data, meaning January through July. So we found that on average, 46% of annual fatalities occurred between January 1st and July 1st of each year. And then to estimate the total 2025 annual fatalities, MassDOT divided the year-to-date number by 46% and then assumed a 3% annual reduction between 2025 and 2026. So then the actual performance for 2022 through 2024, plus the estimates for 25 and 26 were then totaled and divided by 5. So that brings the 22 through 26 rolling average target, that first blue bar, to be 357. So if this 3% annual decrease continues, our projections show that the 2028 5-year average will be 323 per year. And then you also see on the screen with the red and green dots in the middle of the bars, those represent fatality rate. So fatality rate is the 5-year average fatalities divided by the 5-year average vehicle miles traveled. So vehicle miles traveled for 2025 are estimated to be around near pre-pandemic levels. However, now that 2021, a year with a high fatality rate, is now outside of this 22 through 26 5-year window, the 5-year rolling fatality rate has decreased. And consequently, the 5-year average rate is projected to be 0.56 fatalities per 100 million VMT. And if this trend were to continue, that rate would be 0.5 fatalities per 100 million VMT in 2028. So I know that was a lot on fatalities. The next couple will be a little bit shorter. So if we scroll down to serious injuries, thank you. So MassDOT followed the same methodology as it did with fatalities to estimate serious injuries for 2025. So we found that roughly, as with fatalities, 46% of annual serious injuries occur in the first half of the year. So using this formula, the 22 through 26 5-year average target is 2,562 serious injuries per year statewide. And if this trend of a 3% reduction in serious injuries were to continue, the 5-year average in 2028 would be 2,184 per year. And for the serious injury rate, MassDOT used the same methodology as with the fatality rate. So the 5-year average serious injury rate target is set to be 4.03 serious injuries per 100 million VMT. And if this trend continues, the 5-year rate in 2028 will be 3.38 per year. I'm seeing that in this packet that is slightly different. So please go off my math of a 4.03 for 26 and a 3.38 in 28. So now we can move on to the last measure, which is the total combined non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. This one's a little bit different in that these two are combined, and non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries are events that involve people walking, biking, and rolling. So these numbers have fluctuated in recent years. However, 2025 year-to-date data shows that these numbers may have peaked in 2023, and the Commonwealth is now trending in the right direction. Following the previous methodology, MassDOT found that on average 45% of annual non-motorist fatalities plus serious injuries occur in the first half of the year. So the 2025 year-to-date number was divided by 45%, and then a 5% annual reduction was assumed to estimate the 2025 annual number. Note that a 5% annual reduction is assumed here based on the state's increased emphasis on protecting vulnerable road users. For the other measures, we used a 3% reduction, but this one we're using 5%. So this brings the 22 through 26 5-year target to be 512 non-motorized serious injuries plus fatalities per year. And if this decrease continues, the average would be 416 in 2028. So yes, that brings us to the end of that document. But the MPO is required to endorse MassDOT's state targets or establish their own by the end of February of 2026. As always, although numeric targets have been established following federal guidelines, MassDOT's overarching goal is 0 deaths. And that concludes the state side of this presentation. Mr. Chair, I believe we have regional performance content following this. And if we don't,
Yes.
then I will.
Yep. We'll continue on the regional numbers. Thanks, Sam.
Great.
I appreciate you providing all this. As I mentioned before, staff does suggest adopting the statewide targets. However, these are the regional numbers. George Snow from our staff has put these together. George, would you like to describe what this shows?
Sure. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, this table represents what's actually happened in our region for the same time period as covered under the state tables you just saw. Again, this is not there's no targets here. This is just the actual numbers that have occurred during up to 2025. So on average, the Montachusett region total fatalities per 5-year rolling average accounts for 4% of the statewide total. Historically, the region's fatality rate has been consistently higher than the state rate. So if you look at those numbers, they're higher than what was presented in the state presentation. On average, the region's total serious injuries per 5-year rolling average account for 4% of the statewide total. For every 5-year period beginning in 2021, with the 2021 5-year period, the region's total serious injury rate has been consistently higher than the statewide rate. So we have some work to do to try to bring those rates down in our region. And on average, for the region's total combined non-motorized serious injuries and fatalities per 5-year rolling average accounts for 2% of the statewide total. So basically, those are the numbers that we have for our region.
Okay, thanks, George. And this has typically been what we've seen since we've been reporting on these slightly elevated averages in terms of vehicle miles traveled in the Montachusett region. The reasons for that there could be multiple reasons. The nature of our region is more suburban and rural than the average of the state. Some of the things that we have done in the past few years to try to mitigate some of these issues. First off, we have a safety action plan through the Safe Streets for All program through Federal Highway Administration. Um, by virtue of having that plan in place, we identified a number of projects that now qualify for federal funding above and beyond what we would typically see. So we're really hopeful that communities will approach that program when the next notice of funding opportunity comes about and access some of those funds to get some of those projects we identified built. So that's some of the things that we're trying to do to make things go in the right direction. As Sam stated, the goal is zero fatalities and serious injuries, but we have to be realistic as well. So with that being said, we do suggest adopting the statewide measures.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any questions from the board for Brian or Sam or George on the performance measures and regional data as presented? Seeing and hearing none, could I please get a motion and second to endorse the PM1 safety targets as presented? Please.
So moved, Ann Sullivan.
Second, Mark Pimarini.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, Brian, please call the roll.
Derek Schuster, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Liz Murphy, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Mark Pimarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Stephen Oldfield, Mart.
Yes.
Abby Arpano, Subregion 2.
Yes.
And Glenn McLeod, Subregion 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to agenda item 6, federal fiscal year 2026 to 2030 transportation improvement program. I believe we have an MPO action on the agenda to release amendment number 2 for 21-day public comment.
That's right. We have a proposed amendment to the current transportation improvement program. A number of projects this involves in federal fiscal year 26. We've been anticipating this for a few months now, so the number of projects is kind of built up. We've combined all of them. So what we're looking for today is a motion to release this proposed amendment for a 21-day public comment period, which we would then commence this coming Friday, the 20th, and it would end March 13th. After which, as we typically do, we'll review any comments made during the comment period at next month's meeting and vote to endorse. So this includes both highway and transit projects. I'll review some of the highway changes that we see, and then I believe Angela Volk from MART will review some of the transit projects that are included in the proposed amendment. First off, on the highway side, this includes 2 highway projects. Project 612883, which is a bridge replacement Jackson Road over the Nashua River, along with Project 612895 in Fitchburg, a safe routes to school project around Memorial Middle School. On the current tip, this is placed in federal fiscal year 2026. However, we do not anticipate this being ready, either of these projects to be ready to go for advertisement until next fiscal year. So we're proposing placing these into federal fiscal year 2027. No dollar amount change or anything like that, just going from 26 to 27 for these 2 highway projects. Within this handout, we also have a number of transit amendments, and I'll let Angela detail these.
Hi there, everybody. Yeah, we had ended up having a new CFO that came into place back in February of last year, and through his tireless work, we ended up determining that we had some fiscal constraints for our 26 year. And so we have just moved projects either off of the tip totally at this moment due to applying for bus and bus facility grants, such as the MART 011750, as well as, sorry, I'm trying to find the other one, the 11055. Both of those are going to be moved on to a bus and bus facilities grant that we'll be applying for when it is released. The generator supplement just got moved out to 2029. We're not taking it off completely. We do have several projects, though, that we were going to remove off completely and move them out to another year, but we did have MassDOT agreed to allow us to keep the RTA cap. So there were several items that we are going to be using that funding at 100%, such as the 011752, so the fire suppression and fuel management system, as well as the 011997, the replacement of multiple RTU units. And then several other ones, we ended up having funding due to overestimation on previous projects that we have been allowed to do adjustments to. So we're using funding for those, such as 011978, 011983, and 011255. So that is kind of where we're at right now.
All right. Thank you, Brian and Angela. I noticed looking at the materials in the package, Brian, that I think you're only including the fiscal year 26 sheet from the revisions report. So MART and MassDOT Highway Division were proposing changes in 27 and later for some of these projects. I just wanted to note that for the board, it looks like MART's changes weren't only limited to 2026, but also some out years as well. So I think the motion would be for the public comment release of the STIP action. We would just want to make sure that it fully captures the proposed changes. And
Sure,
since it's
I'll
going
make
out,
sure to
like,
put that additional information before we officially release it for public comment. I'll put that into the package as well.
yeah, it's the same revision report that you got this from. It's just another sheet in the Excel file for the later years. It's not often that we make changes to multiple years of a tip when we're doing a tip action, so it's an easy mistake to make. And just confirming on the highway side that the projects aren't being recommended to remove, they're just being recommended to change funding year from 26 to 27 because of the readiness of those two projects. Were there any questions from the board about this tip action before taking an action? Okay, seeing and hearing none, could I please have a motion and second to release tip action number 2 for 21-day public comment?
So moved, Liz Murphy.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Mark Primarini.
Thank you, Liz and Mark. Brian, please call the roll.
Derek Schuster, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ian Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Liz Murphy, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Mark Pamarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Stephen Oldfield, Mart.
Yes.
Abby Arpano, Subregion 2.
Yes.
And Glenn McLeod, Subregion 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll send out the information to our typical channels, and we'll commence the comment period on Friday and end March 13th. I'll update those information sheets as well.
Thank you, Brian. Next item on today's agenda is federal fiscal year 27 to 31 transportation improvement program status update.
Okay, so following up on last month's update, I mentioned last month that we were just kicking off this process of updating the transportation improvement program for the 5 federal fiscal years 2027 to 31. Since that time, we've gathered a lot of updates on these projects, design statuses, cost changes, that type of thing. Today I'll report on those and kind of get a better understanding of where we stand. Again, the Transportation Improvement Program is all federal investments in the transportation network in the Montachusett region. However, for the sake of this discussion, it will just focus on the regional target section of the list. This is where the MPO has discretion over project placement. Additionally, there are a transit section and an additional statewide priority highway section. We'll get the chance to review those projects likely next month, certainly before we release this for a draft. But a major part of the development process for the MPO is to review this target section where we have discretion over placement. So what you see right here is an updated list of the world of projects in this target section that we're discussing. You can see on the left-hand column where that particular project is placed on the current 26 through 30 tip, along with some additional information. And the numbers in the middle are related to our evaluation criteria that we use to score all these projects. Additionally, on the right-hand columns, there are updated design statuses and costs. So this was updated just a few weeks ago. This is the data that we're going off of to build this list. I'll get into the design status and the cost in a little bit, but what I'd like to do and what I typically do in February is to just briefly go over how we evaluate these projects. So you'll have an indication of what those numbers mean. So this is the evaluation criteria we use. What we're trying to do here is to determine what effect each of these projects would have once built. So this is a way to prioritize these projects. We look at a number of different categories. We look at the condition, what building a particular project would mean to the condition of the roadway or the facility. Would the pavement go from poor to excellent? We award it points based on that. We look at the effect that it may have on other utilities, the drainage, traffic control devices. We award it points based on that. We look at the use of the facility, specifically average daily traffic. Most of these are highway side projects, road projects. We account for that. We look at if they incorporate complete streets, things like new sidewalks, new bike lanes, or repairs to existing ones. We look at the effect on overall mobility. Say a project is on a roadway that is a known congestion issue in the region. If building that project would mitigate those congestion issues, we award points based on that. We look at reduction in travel time, improved network connectivity, any impact on transit service, anything that would possibly reduce single occupant vehicles. We look at safety. We maintain lists region-wide of top safety locations or concerns in the region. If it's on those lists, we award points. Additionally, the state has a similar list, top 200 intersections statewide. If the facility is on that list, we award it points. We look at the effect that it may have on crash rate and crash severity. Also, whether there's bike or pedestrian safety improvements by building facility. We look at community effects and support, positive or negative effects to residential areas in terms of noise, traffic flow, housing stock, the effects, positive or negative, it could have on certain population. Is there support from the local government? Typically there always is. Is there participation from the municipality in these regional planning exercises through the MPO, MRPC, or JTC? You get points based on that. Land use and economic development factors we look at, positive or negative effects on commercial businesses, freight access, traffic flow. Is the project in conformance with local concepts and plans? That's important. Or if it's specifically identified in a plan, we award it points. If we feel like it will have a positive effect on job creation or access. Additionally, evacuation route, if it's on an evacuation route or near a medical facility, we award it points. And then finally, we look at environmental effects, either positive or negative effects it could have on air quality, water quality, cultural resources, endangered species, or just the overall resiliency of the project. So when you see these target section projects scored, this is the evaluation criteria that we use. Here's the master list. You can match up each individual project with that evaluation score sheet. Additionally, if there's ever a wish to review this with MPO staff and kind of get a sense of how we look at things, or if there's new information on your project you'd like us to have, always willing to go back and look at these with members. So this is critical in prioritizing these projects. However, I will say anyone who has been through this process of building this tip list before knows that a large portion of decision making lays on the design status of these projects and the cost. We need to be able to be confident that we're placing a project in a year that we have a reasonable expectation that it will be ready to go for advertisement in that year. Additionally, it's a fiscally constrained document, so we need to make it fit within the budget. Which brings me to my next handout. Since last meeting in January, we received our target allotment. So this is within our regional target section that we're building as an MPO. This is our budget for each federal fiscal year. You can see our current tip target allotment is on the left column, and the middle is the program we're building now, and the difference on the right. So we're dropping federal fiscal year 26, adding 2031. We'll be working with in 2027 about 15.8 million. In 28, 16.131 million, 29, 16.382 million, and 30, 16.164 million, and 31, 16.52 million. So there's always slight differences here and there. These are really just projections on what we can expect for federal funds to come in to the state and then from the state into our region, all by formula. Mass DOT provides us with these projections. They account for a number of things. They apply a 2% inflation factor. Sometimes there are state obligations that we need to consider down the road that may affect some of these funding years. Nonetheless, for planning purposes, this is what we're building our target list with. Really, the main takeaway today is the effect all the information that we've gathered over the last few weeks will have on our regional target section. Again, this is where we have discretion over project placement. We're tasked with building this list. Last month, I went over where we stand, where we left off last year, the current list, the current projects as they are listed. So this list is basically that with updated design statuses and cost estimates. So again, we're dropping federal fiscal year 26, adding 2031. Ideally, we would be elevating some of these appendix projects, which are basically projects we have not yet assigned a year yet, into the 5-year tip. However, the reality is, and the reality has been going back a number of years, that we'll have to navigate through some design status changes and even more so some cost increases. So not every project on our list has seen a cost increase. However, a number of them have seen significant cost increases. As of now, all these projects cumulatively have increased by 50%. Since it's a fiscally constrained document, this poses a number of issues. As it sits right now, our total 5-year budget for this TIP program will be $81 million. Currently, we already have roughly $91 million programmed. So we're $10 million over budget. And that is due to cost increases. So in 2027, that leaves us $9.7 million over budget. In 28, $15 million over budget. 29, $4.8 million over budget. 2030 we're under. In 2031, that's the new year. We haven't assigned a project yet. But the effect of these cost increases is severe. The purpose of this presentation this month is really just to give members sort of an indication of the situation we're in. Not that much different than past years. We've seen a lot of cost increases over the past 2 or 3 years. But really this year is even more so. So difficult decisions will have to be made. We've really gathered 98% of the updates in terms of design statuses and cost changes. However, we still need to have a lot of discussions with project proponents as to the possibilities of building this list. We really don't want to see projects falling off. However, that is a reality that we might have to deal with this year. There are certain strategies we plan on looking at, including cost sharing with the statewide section, perhaps, especially as it relates to some of these projects that have seen large increase in costs, as well as what's called advanced constructing some of these projects, which gives us a little bit more flexibility that allows us to place them over multiple construction seasons. Not every project qualifies for that, but these are strategies that we'll be looking into over the next few weeks. I'll give you one example of one of the cost increases we've seen, and there are a few projects like this. So in 2027, in Ashburnham Road Rehab or Route 101, this project has been around for a while. Last year, when we built this list, we penciled in $8.556 million for this project. The new cost is 17.521 million. So that doubled in price from last time we underwent this exercise. This is the reason why we're not within fiscal constraint. Additionally, this project will likely have to move back due to some design changes. These cost increase happen for a number of reasons. Every project is different. Typically, we'll originally see these projects come on our list. They're at pre-design phase. The cost estimates are based on limited information. Once we get a design contract, a design consultant on board, and we start looking at what needs to be done, perhaps the scope changes, perhaps there's additional regulations that need to be met that weren't previously thought of. There has been a lot of material cost increase over the last few years. No different this year, if not more so. But in any event, it is a fiscally constrained document. We will need to have to make some changes. So this is kind of just informational now, what we're up against. Next month, the intention is to present a scenario or multiple scenarios for the MPO to review and to encourage staff to build into what will be the draft tip in April. So still have a lot of work to do to figure out what the possibilities are. We'll try to make decisions based on the best information that we have. We'll be able to explain some of that and the scenarios next month and get some feedback from the MPO. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out to me and discuss your project or discuss the process or discuss the evaluation score, what have you. It's an open invitation at any point. If there's any questions today, I can try to answer those as well.
Thank you, Brian. Very comprehensive. I was wondering if anyone from the board, from your communities, if you had concerns or updates you wanted to share about your projects that are currently programmed and what Brian said. I know there's at least one or two projects that MassDOT may have made recommendations to reconsider programming just because it's been a long time since we've had updates on them. And I was curious actually to hear what the board's thoughts were on projects that we haven't seen a design submission for quite a long time.
So I can add some context to that. And there's been a few projects that have been a topic of discussion over the last several years. One of those is this Templeton project, reconstruction of Route 68. There's a real need for this project to be built. However, the design has not moved in 5 years. Derek, we actually have some meetings set up with the town and their consultant next week to try to figure out exactly what's going on. I can get into much more detail on some of these individual projects next month when we discuss scenarios. I think the intention is to, if possible, keep all these projects funded within this 5-year cycle. Obviously, we're already not within fiscal constraints, so that may not be possible, but we're still gathering information. There are a number of projects in that situation. In fact, there's only really one project on this list where it's suggested that could possibly move up. Not to get too much into the details, but our first year, 2027, a few of these projects will have to move back because, we don't necessarily have the confidence that the design is going to progress enough to place it for advertisement in 2027. So we may be looking for additional projects. These are just some of the things we're trying to figure out over the next few weeks. In the context of our discussion next month, I know staff will likely have recommendations. We'll get into the nuances of each individual project. But yes, it will be more than just navigating these cost increases, but design changes as well.
Thanks, Brian. Uh, did anyone from the board have thoughts on the tip presentation as presented?
Liz from Pittsburgh, it sounds like we have a real challenge here to prioritize and cut where we can. I don't know if, Brian, you may have talked to Nick from Fitchburg recently about the John Fitch Highway project. I mean, I think that one is either that's the right year for it, or maybe we could move it up a little bit.
Yeah, Liz, we discussed this project with proponents from Mass DOT, multiple
Mhm.
divisions, and it would be great if we could move this up. This would be a
Yeah.
great candidate. So we'll follow up on that. As of now, the suggestion is it would probably be ready in 2028, but I'll follow up with Nick on that and others as well.
Thanks, Brian. Um, were there any other thoughts or considerations for MPO staff as they develop scenarios to present to the board next month? Okay. I think we put a lot of trust in the staff. Good luck, Brian.
We'll try to present some clear scenarios based on, discussions that still haven't been had yet. But, this is a view into the future, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to discuss further at next month's meeting and land on a preferred scenario. So thank you for that update on the 27 to 31 tip development. Next is Federal Fiscal Year 27 Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP. Is this Brian or Sherry?
Yeah, I can give a quick update on this. And really, there's not much to update this month. This is our staff, MPO staff's work program for next federal fiscal year. We're working on this as well. Sherry last month indicated that we were within a project solicitation period. Typically, we ask communities if they have projects that we should consider to add to our work program, transportation planning related. Really, we would consider anything. We had a number of requests, so we've been meeting with these communities, trying to determine what capacity we have to take on some of these projects. We'll have much more information next month. A main theme of next year's work program will be another important federally required document for the MPO, the long range plan, the regional transportation plan. This is a 20-year plan. There'll be much discussion over the next, 24 months or so on the RTP. That'll take up a bulk of our work program budget for next year. So again, next month we'll have some information on individual projects we're willing to take on or we can take on, as well as additional information about the program. We're also waiting for some additional numbers from Federal Transit Administration. We've received budget numbers from Federal Highway and Mass DOT, so we're continuing to build that list as well.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions on UPWP development? All right. We'll continue on. I believe next is MART Build Grant Letter of Support.
Yep. So Mart is applying for a grant from the US DOT for a build grant for construction or repair of the Fitchburg Intermodal Transportation Center. So that's the parking garage and MBTA Center in downtown Fitchburg. They've asked the MPO for a letter of support. So staff certainly supports this. What we're looking for is a motion to endorse this letter of support on behalf of the MPO to go along with Mart's application.
Thank you,
Motion to
Brian.
endorse?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Ann Sullivan.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Brian or Mart about the project in question? Okay. Brian, please call the roll.
Derek Schuster, Mass DOT.
Yes.
Ann Sullivan, Mass DOT Highway.
Yes.
Liz Murphy, Fitchburg.
Yes.
Mark Pamarini, Leominster.
Yes.
Stephen Oldfield, Mart.
Yes.
Abby Arpano, Subregion 2.
Yes.
And Glenn McLeod, Subregion 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to updates. Let's start with District 2. Daryl?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. So we have a few projects here for District 2. First, we have project 612151. This is Athol Bridge Replacement, Main Route 2A, Main Street over the G&W Railroad. We're at 325 currently. The bridge type selection worksheet for the railroad retaining walls was received back in June. Review comments were completed in July. The resub for that was received in November, and the reviews were completed on November 26th. The 25% design submission was due on the 19th of January. We're waiting an update from the PM on that. In 27. Next, in 2028, we have 608415. This is Athol intersection improvements at Route 2A and Brookside Road. This is at 25%. The design justification worksheet was accepted. Utility site walk was completed on November 13th, and revised right away. Review comments were completed on the 12th of January, and the bridge type selection worksheet revised and geotech report review comments were completed on the 17th, just yesterday, February. And we have a tentative virtual design public hearing date of the 24th of March. So we're moving forward on that. Next, we have project 613141. This is Athol Orange Bridge Replacement, Logan Road over the East Branch of the Tully River. This is at 325%. Stream bed sampling memo was received back in June. And closed in July. Revised wetland delineation was received in August, and review comments were completed late August. The 25% submission is due August of this year, 8/11/2026. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Daryl. Any questions for MassDOT Highway District 2? All right, we'll move on to District 3. Ann or Sarah?
I'll do that. So in 2026, project 609213 Harvard resurfacing and box widening on Air Road from Route 2 to the Airtown line. That is at PS&E. The town and MassDOT is working on the right-of-way, acquiring the right-of-way. The next project is Harvard Lancaster, the bridge replacement project, Jackson Road over Nashville River. This is 612883. This was just the subject of our amendment where it's at 75%. 100% is due in June. There's no right of way. We do expect the permitting to be a little bit challenging. That project is going to move into 2027, which is what we just released. Project 612895, Fitchburg Memorial Middle School. This is a Safe Routes to School project. That is also at 25%. The DPH has been scheduled for March 25th. 75% are due in May. That was also what we moved into 2027 in the amendment today. And then just to go over 2027 quickly, there's advanced construction from the Harvard project. There's Ashburnham, Route 101 South. That is the revised 75% is under review. That's project 609244. Clinton, Sterling Street, Route 62 from Willow to Main Street, 610681. The revised 25% is that for that one is also under review. Fitchburg Ashby, a resurfacing and related work on Route 31, 612110. That is at 25/75%. The DPH has been scheduled, the public hearing has been scheduled for March 19th. The 100%/PS&E is due in November for that project. And then the Gardner Bike Path construction, North Central Pathway over Route 140, project number 609108, that is at 75%, and the 100% are due in April.
Thank you, Ann. Any
Yep.
questions for District 3? All right, moving on to Montachusett JTC.
We do have transit on there if there is an update.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so
Mart, any
I'll
updates?
give the update. So for Mart has been awarded two micro transit grants. So one is the connectivity grant, which Miranda mentioned in our MRPC meeting. So that grant goes for the town of Ashburnham and Winchendon. Winchendon has a Winchendon connector operations that they are running for the town. So that service would be extended to Ashburnham to connect them to our transit service and also other parts of the state. Then the newer grants we have is the newest is the last mile transit grants, which for the towns of Bolton and Sterling. So these are the two new updates on my side.
Great. Any questions for Mart? All right, congrats on those grants. Now Montachusett JTC.
Okay, so the JTC met last week, as we typically do, a week before the MPO meeting, and we'll continue on with the reviewing of the TIP material and the UPWP material as we develop those programs, so that group can provide some feedback to the MPO. So next week, when we look at some of those scenarios, hopefully we'll have some suggestions from that group to kind of talk about as well with this group. I also have a number of handouts on behalf of some of our partners. You get the right ones. First is the speed feedback sign program. I provided this last month as well. This lists some webinars in January. Those are already passed, but the program still exists. The links are active, so if you're interested in this program, I encourage you to look into that. On behalf of the Division of Ecological Restoration, there's a culvert and small bridge replacement program. Applications are due Friday, March 20th. Additional information on the Chapter 90 program. Very important to our municipalities. This program is being elevated from its current level of 200 million to 300 million. So hopefully that's helpful to some of our communities. Additional information in the handout, as well as the state fiscal year 26 fair share supplemental budget summary. The fair share amendment, also known as the millionaire's tax. The proceeds from that are split between education and transportation. So here's some additional information of what those were and where they're going. Again, just for your information. And that's all I have for that. And I do have an update for MRPC. Glenn was not able to stay at the meeting because he's involved in interviews to bring another planner onto our planning and development staff. So hopefully by next month, we'll have an additional planner on board. Additionally, here's an updated grant opportunity list that our planning and development staff puts together. A lot of useful information and links on here. We'll continue to provide this to this group. This was just updated a week or two ago. We expect to have an updated list next month as well and going forward. So, any questions on these? Our planning and development staff, Bernie Cahill is the director of that department. You can reach out to him or any of them. They're all knowledgeable about these programs. And if there's any assistance needed in attaining these grants or administrating them, we could probably help with that as well. So that is all I have.
All right, thank you, Brian. Any questions for MRPC? For the JTC? Okay. Administrative matters. I believe our next MPO meeting is at 1 p.m. on Wednesday, March 18th. If there are no other administrative matters, could I please get a motion and second to adjourn?
Motion, Mark Timmery, to adjourn.
Second, Ian Sullivan.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 I.
Any nays? Didn't think so.
Thank you.
Everyone have an excellent rest of your day, and we'll see you in March.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.